Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. You guys know what time it is. Time for a lot of people's favorite segment, the client lesson updates. And just a quick reminder for those of you who enjoy these videos, please click like down below. And today I want to chat with you guys a little bit about something that I've come to think about more and more, not only with my own training, but with my clients. And a lot of it has to do with the simple fact that in my experience so far, the more say my clients have in what they do, the slower their progress is. And I want to make that very, very clear. And I want to make that clear to some of my clients who are listening, because a lot of them like to argue, well, I think this, I think that. And it's kind of like, I don't mean to be a dick, but if you knew how to get strong, you'd squat 500 already. You'd deadlift 550, you'd bench 315. If you haven't achieved those things on your own, you don't know how to get strong. You don't know what works for you. You just don't. And that applies to anyone else out there listening. Like if you haven't hit those numbers, you probably don't know what works for you. So if you don't know what works for you in general, how are you going to know how to RPE stuff? And that's been one of the biggest issues that I've had with clients, sometimes even advanced lifters, because I generally, when I start people out, I put them on like a linear upper-lower type program, and I micromanage their weight to the exact pound, to the exact kilo, all the way until I take them to conjugate. A lot of my guys are familiar with this, and I eventually give them some say and let them start RPEing some of their 10 rep sets and stuff. And what I generally have done, what I have generally done with a lot of my guys, when they're on conjugate, a 1 rep max is a 1 rep max. They ramp to a max. We don't assign it. It's what you can lift. They track their maxes. The goal is to PR every time we repeat a lift. We're supposed to run percentages on speed work, Louie. I assign those percentages of your max for a reason. Louie knows who he is. And he knows I'm going to jump on his ass for that. No, you don't put another 50 pounds on the bar over the percentage. But those run off of percentages. But generally after that, I give my guys a set of rules for following 10 rep sets. Meaning we do a lot of 10s. Some of my guys do 5s. See, a lot of my guys who want to do 5s are like, well, how come I can't do 5s? Because you don't have a base yet. You have no work capacity. You're out of shape. You need to get thicker and get in better shape. We need the volume. Only my advanced guys do 5s. Okay? You don't deadlift 450, 500, we don't need to be talking about 5s. You need to put some size on. But over to the point, I digress. I'll probably change that coming up. I'll probably let more of my guys do 5s, honestly, because it's easier to do with percentages. But the point is, I let them do RPE. Okay, and I give them general rules like, hey, if I give you 3 sets of 10 on this lift, I want you to work with a weight that you can get 10 with and feel like you have a rep or 2 in the tank, because we usually want to do 1 rep in reserve, and then when we get to the final set, take it to an AMRAP. And if you get 12 or more, then you know that you sandbagged it and you need to put more weight on the bar next time for that accessory, right? I don't care whether it's a closed grip bench, a good morning, a floor press, you know, whatever. Now, rows, I don't want to see that. Rows, I want guys to be super strict. But you guys get the idea. Or even a skull crusher. It doesn't matter. All these supplemental lifts that we do. The problem we run into is that people overdo them. They will let form break down trying to put too much weight on the bar, or they will sandbag. And then they wonder why they get stuck. Like I've had lifters like that who they get stuck in like a 430 or a 440 squat, right? They're stuck at a low 500s deadlift. And I assign the supplemental lifts and then I give them the RPE, but then I don't check in always to find out exactly how much weight they used. And then you go and look and it's like they're doing glute bridges with 315 or 275. Now, anyone who's familiar with the glute bridge is going, wait, 500 deadlifters doing 350? Yeah. They're not going to get any stronger off that. They're not going to see a single pound of strength improvement on any big lift with that. Why? Because they're already too strong to use that weight. They're not getting any muscle growth. They're not getting anything out of it. They're doing good morning with 155, 165, 175. Okay, I have guys who deadlift low 400s who can do that. Okay, I've got guys who deadlift 405 who can do 165 for 10, for 5 by 10. So we see the issue we're running into. They'll half-ass it, and I think a lot of guys are scared. A lot of guys are scared of good mornings. A lot of my audience are scared of good mornings. But let's come over to the point. I let guys RPE stuff sometimes, and I feel like it gives sometimes too much control back to the lifter. And we come back over to the point. When you're coaching people, they are paying you to tell them what to do to get them strong. They're paying you for your experience. They're paying you for your expertise. And I have a lot of guys who are getting pretty damn strong. And it's kind of one of the things I laugh at. I actually had trolls say, oh, Doug is stronger than you on the bench. Doug isn't stronger than me on the bench. Doug's getting pretty strong, but he's getting close, though. He's chasing me. My bench is about to blast back up again, though. Now that I've rehabbed the shoulder. But the point is, they're like, oh, we're seeing him do a 335 floor press. But Doug didn't have a 315 bench when he hired me. You guys see the issue there? So they'll come in and they'll chime in with that, and it's like, but Doug couldn't bench 315 before he hired me. And it's not like he's a novice lifter. Guy's an advanced lifter. So what are you talking about? We got him there with good programming. Guy's best bench was 305. Hey, now you guys have watched me put up a guy doing an incline, a pause incline with 305 on a 45-degree incline. You've watched him floor press 335. You've seen him bench 325. He's about to bench 340. That's going to happen in the next 2 weeks. Going to happen. So the point is, we take that and say, okay, so we put 35 pounds on his bench. Yeah, that's what you pay a coach for. Same thing with the squatting and the deadlifting. So they're paying you for your expertise. They're not paying you to let them pick what to do and figure out what weights to use and how many reps. You're giving people control who don't always know what they're doing. They're not advanced lifters always. They've never coached anybody. They're not up to speed on all the literature and what all the best coaches in the world do. Right? They're paying you. So I'm leaning in the direction, and I've used percentages for some of my guys for some of their supplemental lifts in the past. And I think the direction I need to go is for me to do more and more percentage-based stuff. And I think in the long term, people have said, hey, what are you going to do? You need to release a book on your own ideas on how to set up conjugate templates and stuff for your audience. And it doesn't mean that I think that I can hang with Louis Simmons, by the way. That's not, I would never put myself on that level. I wouldn't. I'll be honest about it. But the fact of the matter is, he's not also releasing very inexpensive templates and stuff, or free templates always, to tell you exactly how much weight to use on everything. He gives you good guidelines, right? And if you just follow his guidelines, most of you out there would probably get a lot stronger and bigger, right? You really would. You really would if you just follow his general guidelines. So, I mean, even for me, when I'm talking about putting stuff out in ebook format later, it's going to need to be percentages. I'm going to start coaching more of my lifters on percentages. I'm about to go to percentages. Now, people say, well, how are we going to do percentages unless we max out? Well, we max out on everything. Look, if you have guys who are maxing on a couple of random lifts every single week, why can't we max on all of our supplemental lifts? Okay, they're doing it at Westside. You guys see me doing now 2 max effort lifts, both LME days. That's 4 maxes a week. You're telling me that over the course of an 8-week training cycle that did 6 to 8 weeks, okay, if you're maxing on 4 lifts every week a minimum, because you could come max on a little bit of back work or pull-ups or chin-ups or rows if you need to find out where you're at, as long as you film them and do them strictly. If you film them, that's the point. Okay, you're maxing on 4 exercises every week. What happens over 6 weeks? You have 24 exercises that you know a max on. You have 24 exercises we can program off of for percentages. And that's the point. We can look at them and set up rep and set schemes and set target goals for the number of sets you do at a given rep for the percentage. Right? We can set a baseline minimum that we know based upon the data we have on effective reps, the data we have on upper threshold muscle fibers, all of this stuff. We can know how many minimum sets you need to stimulate muscle growth and an adaptation with any given percentage and rep. We already know that. It doesn't matter how you feel. How you feel is a lie. Hey, what matters is how much tension, volume, workload, and how we're recruiting muscle fibers. That's what matters. Make a shit how you feel about it. How you feel that day. Oh, I feel tired today. Well, you need to get your weak ass in. A lot of times when we're tired and didn't get sleep, we hit lifetime PRs. It happens all the time. How you feel is a lie. That's the one valuable thing I learned while running Bulgarian training. John Bros says that. How you feel is a lie. Meaning if you squat 500 pounds every single day, like on that system, and it's not uncommon to do that, if you end up only getting 2 hours of sleep late that night, you have an emergency that comes up and something just derails your world, you can still usually come in and squat 500 pounds. Consistently. He's right. I've done it. How you feel's a lie. Percentages, we can't lie to ourselves anymore. And if we set goals, how you feel might determine how many sets you can do that day. But when we look at those things, when we take a set percentage, we can know how many sets, when we reach that set with that weight, we know that we're ready to PR again. Okay, in other words, if you can do 5 sets of 5 with 80% of your 1 rep max, and you have a clean 5th set, like the 25th rep is good, that's not 80% for you anymore. If you're someone who maxes out regularly, I'm not talking about the person who trains 5x5 as a primary modality. I'm talking about people who regularly, weekly do max effort work. You're probably going to go in and PR next time you do that lift. Like you're there already. People say, well, we can't max on everything. That's true, we can't max on everything, but we can extrapolate. Let's say you have guys who they're still too skittish to do a max good morning. We can base it off your squat. What's our goal? Our goal is to good morning as much as we squat. Right? This week, didn't I do that? Didn't I take my cambered bar good morning, hit a 535 on it? That's my box squat max with that same bar. Couldn't you set goals and say, okay, so that means realistically we need to be able to do sets of 10 with 70% of your max box squat. That's our target. If they're not able to handle that yet, we could run them at 60%. You just run them at 60%, and when they can achieve that successfully, coach can bump that to 65% of their squat max. Then he can take it to 70% of their squat max. I'll tell you right now, any of your lifters who can box squat 405, and they can do 70% of that for sets of 10 on the good morning, you can max them on good mornings now. They're ready to max. Same thing with a glute bridge. What's our glute bridge target? Well, your glute bridge, you should be able to do 85% of your conventional deadlift for 10 reps. Okay, I found this to be consistently true of myself and with my lifters. We can assign percentages of your deadlift on a glute bridge. If we don't want to max on it, we could max out on it. Then we have percentages to work off of, don't we? I think it's largely a much better way to go to once you have people maxing out regularly. And I think for me, that's something I'm learning more and more when dealing with my own lifters. And it's probably the direction my own coaching is going to go. Probably future programs I put out there are going to go. Again, numbers don't lie. How you feel is a lie. All right, guys, well, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.